What's up, my dude? Your friendly neighborhood Tony here, and welcome to the Spare Tech Room, where today we are going to be doing a full unboxing and walkthrough of the Fujifilm X-S20. So if you've seen some of the other videos on my channel, you know that the Fujifilm X-S20 along with the X-T30 Mark II are a couple of the cameras that I highly recommend for people that are just getting started in the Fujifilm system. Now the X-S20 is going to be a bit of a step up from the X-T30 Mark II, and I want to give you a full unboxing experience of that here and then walk through every single piece of the camera so you know exactly what you're getting and hopefully how to use it as soon as you get it out of the box. So first things first, the box that it comes in is your pretty standard, typical Fujifilm box. Nothing really special there. If you've unboxed a Fujifilm camera recently, you already know what you're getting into. Let's go ahead and crack it open though and see what we get. Now, I will tell you, I've been using this camera for about a month now, so I went ahead and packaged it all back up as best I could. But yes, I have spent some time with this camera and I absolutely love it. So let's go ahead and open this up. And once we do here, we've got a couple of pieces of information that we're presented with right off the bat. One is to get you registered with your product and the warranty information there. Then we have something for Capture One, which is the software that you might use to edit photos and things like that. I know a lot of people that use Fujifilm cameras love Capture One. I personally still use Lightroom, but Capture One is fantastic as well, especially for Fuji cameras. Then we've got a bunch of cardboard. Yay, who doesn't love cardboard? I know I do. Let's get some of this out of the way here. And once we start to pull this away, we are presented with the actual camera. So I'll pull that out in all of its plastic glory. Let's get that out of here. And excuse the noise, but we've got the Fujifilm X-S20 right here for us. And I'll do a full walkthrough of this camera in just a second to show you all of the buttons and everything. Let's see what else is in this box though. So over here on the side, we've got another little container. Let's pull that out. And I think that's the only other thing in here, so I'll just get rid of this box. And over here in this container, we have, I believe, all of the cables and wires and all that fun stuff. And there's actually quite a bit in here. I was pretty surprised. For one, you get your USB-C to USB-C cable. And this is going to be used, of course, for charging your camera, for moving files over to your computer, and also for using your Fujifilm X-S20 as a webcam, which I did a full video on how to set that up. There's actually 3 different ways to use your Fujifilm camera as a webcam. And so if you want to know specifically how to do that with this camera, I'll link that video for you right here at the top and then of course at the end of the video. So make sure you check that out if you're trying to use your Fuji camera as a webcam. But yes, you've got the USB-C cable, which is pretty great. Aside from that, we've got a little neck strap in here, which again, it's hard to get things out of here, but let's grab that. I haven't actually used it myself, but this is the same neck strap I believe that came with the X-T30 Mark II. And it's leatherette material. I don't know if that's real leather, but it's decent. You know, the neck straps that come with the cameras aren't going to be anything phenomenal, but they will absolutely work for what you're looking for. So not bad. I do like that it's a bit thinner. It's kind of low profile, which kind of suits the camera here. This isn't a super bulky camera, so it makes sense that you don't have a super bulky neck strap. All right, aside from that, a few other things that you get in here. One is the battery. Now this is an awesome battery that we're getting with these newer Fujifilm cameras. This is going to last you all day. You may want to pick up 1 or 2 extras just to be on the safe side. I'll go ahead and link some good batteries for this camera in the description box below, but this one here is going to last you a big chunk of the day. You really shouldn't have to worry too much about charging back up or replacing batteries, but it's always important to have a spare. Aside from that, let's move that off to the side. We've got a bunch of different things here for charging your camera. You've got the little brick here, which is going to have the USB-C go into one end. And then this is awesome. I really love that they did this. They included a bunch of different types of connectors depending on where you are in the world. So you're going to get different ones. I think this is, I want to say European. I don't recall, but you've got that. You've got your standard American plug here as well. You've got ones for Australia. So they really give you everything that you might need in order to hook this camera up and get it charged, regardless of where you are in the world. But that's everything that comes in the box. Let me go ahead and clean this out of here, and then I will go through and walk you through every step of the camera so you know exactly what you're getting into. All right, and here we go. We've got the Fujifilm X-S20. We'll just walk around the entire camera here. Right up from the front, you, of course, have the 26 megapixel APS-C sensor. This is going to be the latest and greatest from Fuji, and it takes absolutely gorgeous pictures. I can definitely tell you that. And you're getting all of the latest film simulations on this as it's one of the newer cameras in the Fuji system. There's a front dial here, which is fantastic if you're a person who likes to control your shutter and aperture and ISO from the actual camera dials. So here we've got a front dial, which works great. This one, I will say, does not click in. I know with some of the other Fuji cameras, you can click in this front dial to switch it between different settings. This does not do that. So it's just a single service, kind of single use dial here. Then we'll spin around to the side. On this side, I guess camera left, you're getting some of these dangly bits, which I don't love that these are as loose as they are. Some of my other cameras, for example, I'll grab it right here. My Sony a7C II, the little eyelets there are much more firm, and so they don't jingle around when you're, using the camera, or if you're recording video, you're not going to hear that moving around. Unfortunately, here on the X-S20, they are a bit noisy, and it's just something you're going to have to deal with if you want to use this particular camera. Now, one thing that we do get here that I love is that we have a full-on microphone output. This is going to be 3.5 millimeters, so you don't need any adapters in order to use your 3.5 millimeter microphones on this like you might need in some other cameras. Also, you have your HDMI port here. I think that's, I want to say mini HDMI. Either way, it's decent. I like to use an extra cable here for these kind of HDMI situations, and this is just a little right angle adapter, so I'll just leave that plugged in there. So that way it's not yanking on that port. I'll link to this in the description box below as well. They're super cheap, but this just transfers it over to a full-size HDMI. Makes it a little easier for you. Then we have a USB-C port here, which can be used, of course, for charging, for data transfer, or, again, to use this as a webcam. Aside from that, I think that's all you really get on this side of the camera. On the other side of the camera, the only thing here is, of course, the little eyelet for hanging your lanyard or your wrist strap or what have you, and a separate headphone jack, which I haven't used just yet, but you've got a separate headphone jack if you want to monitor your audio while you're recording. Really great for those kind of like single shooter situations. Then we'll move to the bottom. The bottom here, of course, has the ability to mount your camera to a tripod or what have you, and your little battery door here. Now in here, you've got where your battery will go, as well as your SD card. I don't love when the SD card is in the same slot as the battery, but it is here. And it is easily accessible even if you have this mounted to a tripod or anything like that, so no problems there. Then we'll go to the very top before we get to the back of the camera, and there's a lot going on here. You've got, for one, the ability to use an onboard flash here. If you just flip this little switch, your flash pops up. Now, this flash does not angle backwards, so you're not able to bounce the light off the ceiling or anything like that, but if you're looking for something to just fill in some shadows on a face or something like that, maybe use it for kind of creative purposes, you do have that built into the camera. Also on the top is your hot shoe mount where you can connect any kind of accessories that you might use. We also have this dial here, which I believe by default is set to alternate between the different film simulations. Of course, you can reassign that as well if you'd rather it do something else. Then you have this dial over here, which does so much of what the camera is capable of. I currently have it set on manual mode, but you can go into aperture, shutter priority. You've got an auto setting, a vlog setting, which is really handy for people that are new to using these kind of cameras in general. There are a number of custom settings as well as this filter setting, which I don't think anybody uses, but a number of custom settings as well. So this is something you're definitely going to need to become familiar with. Further over on the side here, we have another dial, which you can assign to, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, that kind of thing. You've got an ISO button here to toggle your ISO in order to switch that over. There's the Q button, which is basically the function menu for Fujifilm cameras. Once you press that, it's going to pull up a quick access menu for you. So that way you can access some quick settings. I know I like to use that to change my shutter speed, minimum shutter speed that is, because I shoot oftentimes in aperture priority. But you can use that to access your quick menu. There's a record button here, which is going to be really handy for those of you that are shooting video, the on-off switch, shutter button. Now, I will say, and I've said this about some other Fujifilm cameras before, I don't love the feel of the shutter button. When I use something like my Sony a7C II, or even the original a7C that I had, or any of the other Sony cameras I've used, when you tap this button, it gives a little bit, and that's normally what you would expect for it to be able to focus. And then when you press a little bit more, you feel a slight click, and that is the shutter releasing and taking a photo. Here, it's a little different. You'll put the weight of your finger on the button, and it'll give a little bit, but nothing will happen. Then you have to press down a little further, and then it will focus, and then press down even further in order to take the shot. So it's a little tricky to get used to, and I know for me, when I first started using it, I was getting some shots that I didn't intend on taking, but once you're familiar with it, it's fine. I just feel like they could have done that a little bit differently here. Aside from that, over on the back side of the camera, this is where all the magic happens. You've got a few different buttons here. One is going to be kind of a quick button to switch you between single shot or burst shooting or what have you. You have your play button, which you'll use, of course, to view back any photos or videos that you may have taken. This also doubles as a trash can icon when you're going through the menu and trying to delete photos. Auto exposure lock, auto focus. You've got this joystick, which I absolutely love. One of my favorite things about the Fuji cameras is the joystick. Then your menu, display, and back button. Of course, this has Bluetooth. Basically, it allows you to connect it to your smartphone, so that way you can port photos right over from it. Then you have what is really wonderful on here, which is a complete flip out swivel screen that you can use in selfie mode if you're trying to take videos of yourself. If you're a single kind of content creator who's just trying to use this for yourself, you can do that. And of course, in this video, we won't go through the full menu system, but if you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. Another thing that you have here is a little bit of a thumb grip, which I do like. It helps give you a good purchase on here, as well as this is possibly one of my favorite grips on one of these smaller cameras. It just feels so good in the hand, and it doesn't feel like it's going to go anywhere. It's just really comfortable. For me, I have medium-sized hands, and this is just the perfect fit. So overall, I really love this camera. It is one of the two that I recommend for people that are just getting started in the Fujifilm system. If you want to see the other camera that I recommend, I'll link to the video talking about both of them right over here on the side. Of course, I'll also link that video about how to use this as a webcam, because that is, I think, going to be really important for anybody who is picking these up. And if you want me to go over any other information about Fujifilm cameras, Sony cameras, or anything else you can think of, really, this channel is all about helping you make better tech choices. So let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time in the spare tech room. Be good.